I'm on mute. What's going on, everybody? Mario here, Infighting FX, and we have got a show today. We have a bunch of wrestling topics. At the end of the day, we do have one boxing thing on the docket, but probably won't talk much about it. This is the post Survivor Series War Games show. I am Mario McGee, as I said, and you can tap in at fightsatw.com to check out all of my content as far as wrestling is concerned. Fightsatw.com was in the building for Survivor Series. I'm actually reaching out to the champ himself. Hopefully, he's got a chance to come on and talk to us about, the night, what it was like. For everybody that's on YouTube, just a heads up, we'll be crossing over about 6 something. I'll give you a heads up. You can move over to Twitch, X, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, IG, whatever. So all right. So we are going to talk about Survivor Series War Games. That is the big topic on deck for today. A lot of stuff happened and a lot of stuff didn't happen. I want to talk about Survivor Series top to bottom, the good, the bad, the very disappointing. But I also want to make sure that we kind of analyze what we saw as far as it relates to WrestleMania and potential booking. All right, my bad. Just sending out the links. All right, so Survivor Series was this past weekend, San Diego. It was a good show from the perspective of going into it, right? There were only 4 matches on the card, right? And when you do that, and that's been like the thing that WWE's been doing lately, right? They go through the entire aspect of it, um, top to bottom. They've been cutting matches from cards, right? Making them more sleek, making them more what's the word? Where like everything kind of like just like runs faster and better than it had before because it is like trimmed down to the most essential facets of that thing. That's what PLEs have felt like. I can't think of the word. Fuck. But PLEs have felt more sleek. They felt more less chaotic. They seem to have like a better understanding today where they're going to position certain things, right? So looking at it from that perspective, they started out with the women's War Games match. I thought it was the best plan. I thought it was the best move. I predicted that it would be first. I predicted the whole card, which again isn't hard when you only have 4 matches. I predicted the women's War Games would open it up. Why? Well, because you can't have both War Games back to back and there's only 4 matches, so they're going to have to split them and bookend them. That's what they did. Royal Rumble, same thing happens. Money in the Bank, same thing happens. You always want to split the matches as much as you can, right? Because you're going to get the same spots a lot of times. Then they moved on to the John Cena, Dom Mysterio Intercontinental title match. And that was meant to essentially light the crowd on fire, right? So, like, the action in the first match gets you off your feet. But the circumstances of the second match make you committed, right? And now you're interested. Now you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. So then you move on to that third match, which was Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella. And that was the bathroom match, right? And it's not anything to take away from Stephanie Vaquer because she's amazing. She deserves to be main event spot. She deserves to be whatever she wants to be because she is that good. Nikki Bella could have been a vital story, a vital feud, a vital program. Unfortunately, it really wasn't. It wasn't at all, because what we ended up getting was like a really shitty retconning of the entire Nikki Bella run. You know, she turns heel, and then all of a sudden she's gifted a world title match. Why? Makes zero sense. But ultimately, what we had throughout this night was a lot of different a lot of different looks, right? A lot of different matches, right? You had the War Games, and you had a singles match, or you had your War Games and you had your singles matches. The problem was nothing happened. Like, literally nothing happened. You go through the first match. This is the part where the women are supposed to go and steal the show. And it honestly felt like they rushed the finish a little bit. Like, not everybody got their spot. It just felt really weird. You know, every year, the women's War Games match is meant to be the actual show, right? The actual match. Because the men at this point in the WWE War Games match, the vast majority of them, they're not going to send up there to do some crazy spot, right? They're not going to have them, you know, take a body off of the top of the cage in like a crossbody or some weirdo shit like that. Remember, Reed got hurt in that same match from just jumping off the top. There was no flip. There was no corkscrew. He didn't, you know, pause midair. You know, it wasn't anything like that. He just jumped. And the weight of his massive body came crashing down on his ankles. And it was absolutely horrific. And that's to say that this match, like Hell in the Cell, like cage matches, are not something to play with, right? That there's no way to like safely book a Hell in the Cell bump. Okay. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like hell. And when you lose the story, none of the rest of it matters. Right? Like, who gives a shit if Io Sky is jumping off the top of the cage? All due respect, who gives a shit if she jumps off the top of the cage with a trash can, a spot she'd already done, by the way? Who gives a shit when there's no story there? Like, who is she landing on? Is it her biggest feud in Asuka, right? The woman who has continuously treated her like shit, the woman who's continuously made her feel inept and like held this whole thing about we came from Japan together over her head, you know, tried to like propel herself as something more, as a single star, right? Or is it Becky Lynch that she's, you know, taking out? You know, mad for what reason? I'd have no idea. And so you look at the story of this again, right? These women in this match specifically, that was an accident. These women in this match specifically, right? What business did they have with any of each other? Like, really think about it, okay? So you had Rhea and Sky in a feud with Asuka and Sane, okay? And this whole thing had been played out already. We did this whole final feud, okay? Now you get the tag belts off of Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, okay? Now you've lumped in these four against these two. However, why the fuck did Nia and Lash get involved again? Oh, they were beefing with Bliss and Flair? But what were they beefing for? These tag team titles. Oh, and Becky? Becky wasn't even beefing with any of these women. Where was Maxine Dupree in all of this? I get she's not the star that Rhea is, Sky is, Charlotte is, Bliss is, and certainly not the Hall of Famer that Lee is. But she at least made sense. You know, her jumping off the top of the cage onto Becky, right? It's so much more fulfilling than Sky jumping off for no reason. Like, this is where I'm at today, right now, on this show. I feel like Triple H is a god-awful booker. And if he's not a god-awful booker, then he's a fucking terrible manager. Terrible delegator. Because how you can know what's going to happen this entire card and not set up anything, not pay anything off, right? The PLE, the pay-per-view, is meant to pay off feuds. We paid nothing off in the women's war games. Nothing. But that's okay because we were never really going to, right? That's not the point of women's war games. If it was the point of women's war games, then the women's war games would be the main event. I know that's fucked up to say, but it's just the truth. So the war games, the women's war games, is meant to be that action spot. It's meant to be the match that pushes the boundaries, that completely exceeds expectations, right? And I'm not saying that the women's match is always better than the men's. That's not the point I'm trying to make, like one versus the other, and which one did you enjoy more? What I'm trying to say is that the women's match is always going to be relatively better, in that the expectation of the men's war games was up here. You can't have Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Logan Paul, The Vision. You can't have all of these incredible names, all these superstars packed into one match and have the fans be so disappointed at the end result that they're booing. Social media, even worse. And again, that has nothing to do with the women's war games. The point is that the expectations of the men's is always so high because of the superstar names surrounding it that it never lives up to that expectation, right? Think about the Royal Rumble this past year. It was booked as the most star-studded Royal Rumble in the history, right? CM Punk, John Cena, everyone else. And so you had that moment, but at the end of the day, it didn't pay off anything, right? And everybody was bored. Everybody hated it. Nobody liked it, right? It ended up getting worse as the year went on. So the women exist. The women's war game match exists to propel the show to heights that the men aren't going to take it. It's as plain and simple as that. The women are going to do a better job in this particular match than the men, right? Roman and Lesnar, they're not corkscrewing off the fucking top of the War Games cage, okay? Nobody's slingshotting Bronson Reed from ring to ring, all right? The women and the athleticism at that level is, I mean, they're the best of the best. And that kind of brings me to my overall point. The point that I think I learned from this War Games, there's so much more expectation on the men than the women. But the women are so much better. It's just so much, it's just so evident today. You know? Like, if you want to be one of the top wrestlers in WWE, you have to have a certain physique. You have to have a certain look, right? Men, I'm speaking as for the men, right? You have to have this certain look. But the ability and the performance level is never really like a super high bar, right? Nobody thinks of Hulk Hogan as one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. Nobody thinks of Ultimate Warrior as one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. Sure, Stone Cold and The Rock, raised that bar a bit in terms of quality of wrestling as it relates to the top of the card. That said, John Cena's 5 moves of doom, that whole narrative was started when he was, rocketed to the top of the company. When I look at Charlotte, I look at a physical specimen. I look at somebody who is absolutely a 5-tool player. If a 5-tool player can exist in wrestling, then she is that. She has it all, right? And she's one of the best. She's thought as to be one of the best, right? Becky, same thing. One of the best. Physically in the ring, outside of the ring, they all have it. And yet, where are we with it? Nowhere. Because this match sucked. It did not live up to the past years, right? But I don't blame the women. I blame the story heading into this thing. I blame the lack of foresight, the lack of rationality. Like when you're booking storylines, they should make sense. That's not a hard thing to ask for. But yet it feels like Triple H's era of booking or style of booking isn't so much about storytelling. It's about spots. It's about moments. What moments can we create that will look good on a replay package in the future, right? What moments can we use to lure in other customers when we show them, look at Io Sky and this crazy thing she did, or look at how Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss did this, or whatever stunt or whatever thing they're doing, and then they can add it to the overall lore of women's wrestling, men's wrestling, wrestling in general. So it's not about, hey, let's go out there and tell a great story. It's about, hey, let's go out there and do something that ends up being a really good commercial to sell a shirt, or a really good commercial to sell WrestleMania, or a really good replay that'll sell tickets to a house show featuring Io or Rhea or Bliss or whoever the fuck. That's what it feels like today. I don't think I'm wrong on this, because if I was wrong, then we would have gotten something, anything from Survivor Series, and we didn't. We got nothing. So listen to me. The ending of Survivor Series War Games was Monday Night Raw. It was Monday Night Raw with a much higher budget for the set. Okay, that's all we saw on Monday. I mean, on Saturday, dude. It felt like a fucking Monday. We got Brock Lesnar essentially squash and then attack Roman Reigns. And then the match is over. The heels are getting this crazy pyro celebration like they're going to WrestleMania or Disneyland. It's like you just won a match. That's all you did. Like, does it cement you as the more dangerous faction in the moment? Yeah, I guess maybe, but how much did that work for the Judgment Day? They were in a War Games like a couple years ago. What about the Bloodline? You ever see them selling shirts anymore? Do they even make merch anymore? No. So it's like you can win a War Games match, cool, but what does that mean? It means nothing. Literally, it means nothing. So now we entered this new era of WWE, right? With ESPN, because technically it really hasn't started. Technically, it was always supposed to start, with this next year, next season of Road to WrestleMania. And it all feels like just a money grab. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna clip this, but this is not the reason I'm saying it. I'm not saying this just to clip it, but I need people to understand that Full Gear was better than Survivor Series. 100%. No questions at all. It was better than Survivor Series by far. From a storytelling standpoint, okay? From a storytelling standpoint, okay? From exceeding expectations to overall enjoyment and entertainment from opening bell to closing bell. And that's just the fucking truth, dude. That's just the fucking truth. And I know I got a man right here who's going to tell the truth, because that's what he always does. Machine Gun Matt. What's going on, champ?
What up, Mario? How you doing, bro?
Oh, champ, I'm good. I'm good, man. It was a it was a it was a disappointing Saturday. It was a disappointing Saturday, and I am here to just shit all over it. But before we I want to remind everybody to go to Talking About Sports on YouTube. Machine Gun Matt, and his panel chopping up all of the Thanksgiving weekend sports stuff. A big Cowboy win. I know you didn't expect that. I know because I listened to the show, the preview show for the Thanksgiving, but I wasn't expecting it either, so I'm not going to pretend. Yeah, so it was a good Thanksgiving weekend. How was yours, man?
I know I had a good weekend, bro. I had spent some. I had to work on Thanksgiving itself, but the rest of the way I was chilling with family. Me and my wife hung out here at home, hung out with the in-laws, stuffed our faces, and watched some good sports the whole weekend, bro. Can't complain.
Hell yeah. It was good. It was like I think I hear an echo. Let me see. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. No, I don't hear it no more. So there was a little bit of everything, right? They had a little MMA, there's football or a lot of football. But the wrestling thing was obviously the thing that, was the big last PLE, right, of the
Yeah, you
year.
sound upset. You didn't like it?
I hated it.
You
I
hate it.
hated it. I liked one thing that we haven't talked about yet, and I'm gonna spooge all over it when we get to it. The Dom Mysterio, John Cena stuff, I love, and we could talk about that in just a bit. But the overall War Games match, in my opinion, is the worst in the last since they have restarted this. So 2021, if I'm not mistaken, no 22, right? 22, 23,
On the
24,
main roster,
25.
yeah, it's like
So
22.
this is the fourth year that they have been on the main roster with this gimmick match. And
Mhm.
I urge anyone to challenge me on this. This was the worst one. For sure, this was the worst. Not because segment by segment, offensive move by offensive move, it was like the worst or boring. No. When we talk about expectations, right? And we talk about meeting those expectations, this was the worst. This had all the biggest stars currently in wrestling today, and it did nothing. What did it do? It it propelled possibly Austin Theory. I'm sorry, that is not what we expect in those moments. Save that shit for Raw. But
Why?
Austin Theory and Waller were just eating dog food 3 months ago, and now I'm supposed to believe that he is just as much a threat or just as appropriate to be as part of the vision as Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker. I'm sorry, that's not the case.
He fits their bill, do they not?
He
That's a
does
young
fit their
talent.
build
That's
physically.
young talent, future of the
Yeah.
company.
Mhm.
And to me, that he fits in that group perfect. It's better than what he's been doing.
I think that you would be 1000% right, and I would be 1000% wrong if Triple H and WWE and Ari Emanuel had the Men in Black thing, the
Yeah,
thing that where they just like
like
and you forget everything. So
Mhm.
if they had that and they could like tonight on Raw be like, hey, all the WWE fans, look into the camera really hard, and then we forget that Theory ate dog food and he was just like a fucking joke.
I
Right?
mean,
Because there was the Vince McMahon era, and I really feel like even though
but
nobody
he was
liked him,
over pushed in Vince's era.
but didn't they do that with Roman? And it ends up working, right?
Roman
So
ate dog
maybe
food,
Vince, yeah, no, and that's fair. But all I'm saying though is Vince had a method, and
yeah,
it was madness that ended up working at the end, always almost, and obviously he had a lot of shit that didn't work, but the things that did work didn't work early on. Hulk Hogan wasn't this breakthrough monster the moment we saw him. No, he got fired from the company initially.
yeah.
John Cena was on the verge of being fired. You look at every one of these major talents and they didn't work at one point or another, right? So instead of recycling them and reusing and repackaging like the way that they did Ringmaster to Stone Cold Steve Austin, all they
Mhm.
did was simply bump Austin Theory down. And not only that, Matt, I want your opinion on this. There was a narrative, it felt like, that Triple H, once his era began, it almost felt like he was not punishing Austin Theory, but specifically holding him back because that was a Vince guy. And I got to separate the Triple H era from the Vince guys. And the Vince guys aren't going to get play anymore. So we're going to move on with the Triple H era. So then all that shit you did to Austin Theory, we can't forget that. We can't forget that. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to turn FTR into a real tag team in WWE when they were putting, fucking icy hot on their balls. Like, you can't do that shit. It doesn't work for you to make a clown or a fool of somebody and then the next week have him be a badass simply because he has 8-pack abs. It doesn't work that way.
Well, the thing is though, Mario, they've shown that they can do it. They just can't fully capitalize on it. You talk about you can't turn a clown into a king. Look what they did with R-Truth. That was believable for the first few weeks when he switched, but they just never kept it going. Everything got abandoned. To me, this year for the WWE is a total scratch. That they just need to move on and like whatever plans they had, it worked out better in their head, and things got immediately turned around left and right way too quick for them. Granted, they've had some good shows, they've had some good matches, but like overall, like you've got a lot of fan disappointment through a lot of the shows, like the Royal Rumble, like you said, WrestlePalooza was a bad show. People are disappointed in this show. To me, that's just like it all started with the beginning of the year, and it never like you got fans' attention, and you did nothing with that attention that you garnered from them.
Yeah, man, you nailed that. I can't believe though you said it's a full scratch, right?
I mean, yeah,
Doesn't
bro.
that sound like a fail? That's a failure though, right? That's a
Bad years,
failure.
it happens. Bad years happen. I mean, look at AEW. Was it last year, the year before? No. When was MJF the champion? In 23?
23.
With the whole Adam Cole angle. That was just a bad year. It was super inconsistent. They needed to move some things around and, move this guy here, kick a couple of guys out, rework the inner workings and outer workings of the talent. And like this year and last year, they had a pretty good year. And it's just, I think it's the same thing with the WWE. Not to like blame everything on The Rock, but like, you fixated everything around John Cena and kind of forgot about everything else. And even if, like, no matter what, whether he was going to be heel or babyface the whole way, you fixated too much around John Cena and lost the plot somewhere early on and just completely try to fix it as he was breaking. That's the problem that they had this year because there's been some, like, I've liked the story with part of the Vision when Braun Breaker takes over. I've liked everything with Tom Mysterio. I've liked the improvement with the women's division, but not too much of the over attention because there's still things they can work on. But to me, like this past PLE, the same thing Triple H said about Hell in a Cell is the same thing that's happening with War Games. You're just having one to have one. To me, and that's a really big issue,
especially on a major PLE, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why, like when Hell in a Cell became a PLE, that I was getting tired of it too because it happens every year. So why War Games specifically? I've always been on the side there should only be one War Games match because it's like the War Games is meant to settle something when you like they nailed it the past 2 years when everybody went and took on the new bloodline. Everybody tried to take down the Judgment Day. Those were perfect. There was a group of people coming together to take down a major faction. This was just guys fighting.
Yes, guys fighting. That's exactly what it was. I still, man, where's the echo? I think it's. Let me see. Check. Oh, I don't know. It's like weird. It just happens and it goes away. So I think that there's like so many things you said there that were so fucking brilliant, like in terms of putting the finger on what's going on. And I want to bring it back real quick because what you just said was, I mean, I forgot. I really did. And I think you hit it. I think you nailed the crux of this whole thing in that John Cena was such a major promotional element of this year, right? He was such a big part of the 2025 package that you spent like the first quarter of the year basically building everything around that narrative. And who got left out? The Vision, Seth Rollins. Like after Mania, they kind of just went away, or not after Mania. After Mania, they had their thing, but then it was like somewhere in the middle there. they kind of just became non-factors, and then you had Seth Rollins separated from them for the AJ Lee stuff with Becky and CM Punk, and it just felt like, you're right. From the very moment this year started, they fractioned off all the other storylines to the point where John Cena was this centerpiece. But then once his thing stopped working, or once they got rid of it, or once they changed courses and tried to bring one of those outer elements into the focal point, it just didn't work the same. I don't know what they were hoping for on Saturday with that finish, but it feels like they're trying to set up Seth Rollins, correct? Like they wanted people to believe it was Seth Rollins, correct?
My bad, I was muted. But yeah, to me, it feels like they were like they wanted you to believe it was Seth, but like we all knew it couldn't have been Seth because he just had a major shoulder surgery, and then the internet did what they did and figured out. To me, it was crazy that the internet figured out it was Austin Theory just off his ass. That was what I don't know if you went through Twitter yesterday and the day before, but like that was all I saw. People were just like, "Look at that ass. That's Austin Theory. There's nobody else it could be." I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "How did y'all figure that out like that?" I was looking at the build and I was like, "Okay, it could be," but like
Me too. Build
I
and
remember him
height,
being like
shoulders
much
and
more
height,
like
bro.
vast and built, but like who's to say what he did while he was gone? But yeah, I
That
mean
is
they're trying to make.
hilarious,
But
bro.
to me, like I was talking to my brother about this in a storyline sense, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would they help Seth? Why would Seth help them like that? Like, why wouldn't he attack Braun Breaker too, if it was Seth?
Exactly. Braun Breaker of all of them, right? And it
Mhm.
just felt so on the nose.
Yeah.
Now, I ask you this, Matt. We were supposed to get rumors. I mean, not rumors. We were supposed to get, the rumor was we were supposed to get some subtle hints
Yeah.
as far as what the direction for Mania is. Okay.
Mhm.
So, two things here. One, do you think that it's a statement on WWE's part to not have Austin Theory reveal himself and also make himself look and appear to be Seth Rollins? Does that comment more on where they see Austin Theory right now? I mean, the fact that they knew better than to have him reveal himself in the world and the whole town, I mean, the whole building was just going to erupt in boos. What does that say to you? And then I'll ask you the second thing next.
I think it just. I don't think it's a bad thing that they had Austin Theory do it like that and not reveal himself because they wanted what happened. They wanted the.
But
eh,
combined with Seth Rollins is what I'm asking. But
Yeah. Well,
not
no,
only him not revealing, but him pretending to be Seth
that's what I'm getting
Rollins.
at. They wanted the
Okay.
conversation to start. They wanted people to debate between like, was it Seth? Are they really trying to fool us again? Who else could it possibly be? And then the people that watched the post show, Paul Heyman kind of led into it with, I don't know who it is. It could be anybody. Why would it be Seth? I don't think it's Seth. And then it's just they wanted that conversation to start, and they did. I just don't think they expected because especially with Triple H, when Triple H, who's done this a lot this year, posts on
A
Twitter like, "Oh,
lot.
watch tonight's Raw, and it's gonna be epic." He usually tries to make up for these PLEs with a really good episode of Raw, and it gets you to sip the Kool-Aid again and tries to give you hope. But I think it did what it accomplished what they wanted it to just get people talking about it. Hey, like, hey man, who was that? Um, and then yeah, we got a couple teases for what it looks like is gonna be the main event for WrestleMania this year, and I don't mind it.
That was the second question.
I know a lot of people don't like it, but
That's
I
so
mean,
funny.
it makes sense to me because the internet likes to complain about a lot. People like, you know, especially with the WWE now, and I know there's people on both sides that attack AEW, that attack the WWE, but like to complain about every single decision they do, even a decision that y'all wanted, it's like those same people were like, why does John Cena need the Intercontinental title? Why did John Cena lose his last PLE
I
match?
know, right?
What the fuck do you
Hilarious.
want?
I
Make
know,
up your
dude.
mind.
You're
But yeah,
absolutely right.
I don't mind the rubber match, the trilogy, the finisher between Cody and Roman. And
Oh
they
my
saw the
god.
reaction and they got time to make it interesting. It's gonna be
Yeah.
hard because that second match was so like interesting and big and had all these stars around it, but
Yeah.
they got time to figure
Oof.
it out and make
Good
the
call.
story, make the story something. You know, they got time. There's already a story there. They've had these trilogies before. You obviously think of Rock and Austin, who went back to back, and then they had their space in between it, and then followed up with their third match. So you can build it like that. I don't know. You can't build it the exact same unless you're gonna, treat Roman like The Rock or Austin, and he's gonna go away, and you kind of tease that. But I like the direction it's going, and then I like the direction for one Braun Breaker, which I've been ready for the past few years, and I've been saying it on your show a bunch. Time to put the world title on Braun Breaker.
World title on Braun, not the heavyweight title, the world title.
Either one, pick one.
Either one. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so
it looks
funny
like it's the
because
world heavyweight championship, but yeah, pick one. Make him the champ.
yeah, for sure. It's so funny because I remember a year ago, right? We were heading into WrestleMania, and it was you, me, and Abe, and I said, that eventual Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes rubber match is going to be huge. The fact that they both have 1-1, I mean, this is the deciding factor, right? Whoever wins that match is the guy that they hold more valuable in the back, right? It's just there's so much about that match that means more than just any other time those two suit up together, right? And I remember y'all said something that changed my mind. Y'all said, no, it's too soon. It's not enough time. And you specifically said something that made me think. You said, think about trilogies in boxing, right? What are the difference between the trilogies in boxing and the matches that only have rematches? Well, the difference is they're split 1-1, and the second one was good. And I was like, oh shit, you fucking nailed it. You're right. And you said it needs time. That's all it needs. Do you believe enough time has passed from their feud to now to have it feel different? Or is this just the same sort of Cody finishing story versus a bloodline member? What is different today? What makes you think that they're ready to run it back now when they weren't last year?
I think enough time has passed because you've given the time to let them not only let the match breathe, but the characters develop a little bit more. Roman Reigns is kind of a pseudo baby face because he's not really, he's on his own. He doesn't have the bloodline with him. He's doing more face things and just kind of marching to the beat of his own drum. And then you've got a more aggressive Cody Rhodes. So that's why I'm saying you have the time to build it because we don't know how they're going to look going into their match because, Roman was the big bad going into Cody's main event matches both times.
Yes.
Cody Rhodes is going to be the champion. Are we going to see the same stoic Cody Rhodes babyface walking in as a champion? Or are we going to see a more aggressive Cody Rhodes with a determination on his face, similar to The Rock and Stone Cold when they had their matches? Or could we possibly finally see the shoe on the other foot for both when Cody Rhodes shows up as the heel? We get Homelander Cody, and he finally that last screw finally comes loose, and it shows up for Mania.
That right there is gonna that clip right there is gonna look good with a Homelander Cody dressed up and then like a crazy look in his eye. That's gonna look good. Yo, let me ask you this real quick. Would it work? Could it work? And do you think it's even a possibility they would try it to go the third match in the trilogy, right? The most important match, obviously, of them all, and do a role reverse. Have Cody come in as the heel, right? Based off of the road to WrestleMania. I'm not saying like Rock Hogan shit, like a legitimate build-up. Cody as the heel, Roman as the face. Can that even work? Or is the dynamics between these two guys just, it doesn't work? Like Roman looks more like a bad guy. Cody looks more like a face. Like, can you reverse those things in time for the trilogy?
I think you can because the dynamic of the crowd is already slowly turning that way on its own. Because I still think people are getting bored with Cody Rhodes, especially like they had a rush with Jacob Fatu's injury. They had a rush the Drew McIntyre storyline, and that's why they both got thrown into War Games. So I think you really could it in, especially, and well, no, because I don't want to throw Paul Heyman in everything, but you could turn Cody heel. He could easily flip it, dye his hair back black, start wearing dark suits again like he was doing in Ring of Honor, and just raise hell. And just, yeah, I gave you guys your opportunity. I did this for y'all. This is now for me. Your time is over. Same thing like The Rock. Sing along with The Rock is over. You people had your chance and you fucking booed me. So here I am as the champion. And then at that point, it would make sense that he would be more willing to do whatever it takes to hold that title because he's already lost the title once. He knows what it takes. He
Bro,
knows people. He knows people turn on him, constantly turn on him. They stab him in the back. Nobody, like Punk said, stabs him in the front. And if it was easier that way, it would be easier for him to stomach it as a character. But it would make more perfect sense now where, like I said, he find that last screw gets loose. He finally snaps and says, you know what? Fuck it. This is what I'm doing now.
bro, you nailed that shit. Nailed it. Well done. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. It's not that I want to see it role reversed, but I do want to see it if I never get the chance to see it again. You
Mhm.
know, it's like John Cena's heel turn. Like if I knew now what I knew back then, and I could like somehow have the power to like, no, everybody, I know y'all think y'all want this, but y'all don't want this. Do not turn the man heel. Trust me.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would do it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, how could you not? Like, it's like FOMO, like fear of missing out. How
Yeah.
do you not want to see, you know what I mean? And that's what made the WrestleMania match with Cena and The Fiend so good is we got to see Cena relive these moments that obviously aren't canon and they're not real, but we at least got to see it on camera. You know, like I remember being 7 years old, right? And my dad owned a comic book store, and I would go upstairs into the back lot and I would read, you know, fucking Infinity Wars and Thanos and all this shit. And I remember thinking as a kid, God, I would love to see this one day. I'd love to see it on my TV. I'd love to see it on a movie. And when it happened, it was like, oh man, this is awesome. I don't know if Cody Roman role reverse turns out awesome. In fact, I don't even know if you can do it without doing something really big. And that's what you need to do to turn Cody. You said it perfectly. Like Ring of Honor, just send him out there, black hair, black suit, raising hell. And that's what he did. He was kind of an
Mhm.
evil,
He was a dick.
sort of dude. Yeah, he was a dick. And
But he was
so
more he was like when he
way more
did that
interesting.
in Ring of Honor and then in New Japan, he was probably the most interesting he had ever been to that point in his career. But
Oh yeah.
I think that's another thing too. If Bray Wyatt was alive, or even if they had just not even no match, just a small segment of the Wyatts and Uncle Howdy pop in on Cena, and they were like, he was right, you know, he told you this was gonna happen, and then they could go back to the Firefly Funhouse because remember Bray in that match, in that cinematic match, he said that like it's gonna happen, you're gonna turn on the people, and then you're gonna look back at this moment, and you could easily had Uncle Howdy show up and like, yeah, see, he told you, here we are now. You turned on the people. You were a monster on the inside all along, and then just
Yo, that
switch it back.
works so well. Yo, I would love that.
But
Listen,
they didn't do that. That's the problem.
yeah, exactly. I only got a few more minutes here, so I want to make sure that I get these two things from you. Number one, John Cena, Dom Mysterio went the way you booked it. You know, you got that one, nailed it. You had called it from, you know, a couple weeks ago when they
That was
announced the whole
magic.
thing. Shout out to Mex too, because so far he is right. He said that Dom would take the last win from John Cena, and
Yep.
then John Cena would go on and to win December 13th. Now we only know one of those things is true, but
Mhm.
Matt, for argument's sake, before we get into the match, let's say he's right. Let's say John Cena is getting over on December 13th, meaning that Dom has been the last person to defeat John Cena.
Mhm.
Where does that stack up in terms of the importance, in terms of key moments, as it relates to both Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio winning their first title? How do you rank those in terms of importance, in terms of magnitude of moments?
This is probably one of the most important of those, and I like this. If you're the last win against the GOAT, John Cena, that they label the GOAT, that never before seen 17, he's never, and if he truly never comes back, this is probably the biggest thing for Dominic's career that could catapult him directly into seriousness for that world title position. I truly believe Braun Breaker and Dominic Mysterio are the future of this company. That is, as much as Paul Heyman loves to say it, that is your future WrestleMania main event, Dominic versus Braun. The man of the people versus the man in the locker room. And then there's nothing more beautiful than that. And it's not going to be right away. You probably hear it within the next 5 years for sure. But to me, like that's like one of the biggest feathers in the caps you can have, because similar to what Supermax said, who's batting 1,000 so far these past couple months. It looks like, when Cena had the belt, you had everybody and their mom thought, okay, he's gonna do the job of his last match. He's gonna give it up and be out of there. But now you can assume that he's gonna win, or you can question, like, is he gonna win or is he gonna lose? We all see the big bad that's coming in Gunther, especially with his Walter music back. So I'm thinking, like, man, it would be great if Dominic is the last guy to beat him in the spectacular heel fashion that he did it, because, like, he went Super Cena and lost. That's the better part of it too. He went Super Cena and Dom still beat him.
Yeah, no. You're absolutely right. It was so well done as far as what they were trying to get over in the match, right? Let me ask you this. Was that a torch passing? I mean, you just said it yourself. All those things and all those elements make it so important, right? And
Mhm.
when you talk about like key victories, right? Like nobody could tell you who Goldberg lost to in the second time he lost ever. But I can tell you Kevin Nash beat him the first time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like the first and the last. Those are so iconic. With everything that John Cena has done and hasn't done in his final run, that match signifies John Cena putting over in a loss someone 20 years younger,
Mhm.
almost
Yep.
about. What's the difference between that and The Rock and Cena or Andre and Hogan? Is there a difference, Matt?
I don't think there
Did we
really is
just
a
get the
I
did we
don't
get the
think there is a
torch
difference.
passed to Dom?
I think this was a good torch passing. Not only just a torch passing, but an acknowledgement of this guy is next. This Because think about it, Mario. He's faced people in their hometown already, and the crowd never flipped back on Cena. This
Right.
crowd acknowledged John Cena as who he was. They gave him his praise and threw him his flowers right when he came out. But when that match started, they were right back on Dom's side. You didn't hear boos. You didn't hear the "F Dom" chants. They went right back to representing Dominic Mysterio, and there's nothing better than to have 40,000 people when one of the greatest of all time, somebody they'll never see again, they're chanting for you. They want you to win that match, and when you do, they go crazy. So to me, it was the perfect, like I said, the perfect platform, the perfect stage, the perfect scene. The lighting was great. The moment was great. The win was great. Dominic Mysterio, you have to think, and especially because not only is he one of the best heels in wrestling today, I think he's one of the best wrestlers right now.
Oof. Wow. That's a big, big thing to say. Okay, honest question time. And this isn't a question they're gonna ask over there, on Wrestle Talk or some of the other places, Fight Hub. And that's not a shot, but it is to say this is what we do different over here. We ask the tough questions. We ask the real questions. Okay. And we maybe hurt people's feelings sometimes, but that's just the unfortunate truth when it comes to discussing the truth. So Matt, I want to ask you and I want your real authentic answer. Would Dominic Mysterio be able to represent this future you talk about? Which I agree with you. You know, uh, the same one we look at when we see Breaker, right? We see Breaker and we all know, oof, that guy's it. That guy's got it, right? Dom has it as a wrestler. Does he have the kind of it that can make him rock status, stone cold status? Mm, warrior status, right? Does he have that? And can you gain it in professional wrestling without certain physical traits? So I ask you again, Matt, at this point, do you think Dom can both exist as the top face and or heel in WWE without going through at least a couple of cycles?
I
Or
think
do you believe that he can exist as that guy you see him in the physique he has now?
I think so. I think he can firmly, and not even to just build on a funny relationship that they've had. He can firmly plant himself in that Eddie Guerrero style position where he can be the top heel, the biggest baby faces, but he is a man of the people full through, because as much as people love to boo him, they know they're booing him just for fun. They love him. Dominic Mysterio gets a reaction everywhere he goes. Can that be? Can you gain that eventually? Yes, it's been proven that you can. It's just not been proven that a lot of people can hold on to it. Eventually people
Okay,
forget or people change on you or it cools down. That's the proper term I'm thinking of. It cools down. It happens to like a lot of people that gained that status. Daniel
you're
Bryan.
so right. You're
Daniel
so
Bryan
right.
got really hot and it cooled
Joe
down
Hen,
just a little bit. Joe
even though
Hendry got hot, cooled down
different,
just a little bit. Cody Rhodes when
yes.
he came back to the WWE, super hot, cooled
But,
down
The
just a little
Undertaker
bit.
in a bunch of different, that's why he became the American Badass because
Yeah.
the dead man gimmick wasn't getting
But
over the same
the
way
thing
anymore.
that the people never get tired of are people's champions, the legends of the people. Eddie Guerrero was one of those people. The Rock, like you said, one of those people. Ultimate Warrior, Shawn Michaels. Dominic
All
Mysterio
of
is
those
one of those
guys you
people.
mentioned, Tom, all those guys you mentioned, Matt, they ended up taking the cycles. They ended up juicing up. Shawn Michaels, the difference between his, early heartbreak gimmick and the rockers, right? Rocky Maivia compared to the Rock, right? Hogan, obviously, we don't even have to go down that road.
Mhm.
So all these guys you mentioned, even like when I look at Brett and Mr. Perfect, guys who were thought to be small guys, right? Back
Yeah,
then, they were jacked. Everybody
yeah.
was on fucking gear, right?
Well, but I think
Let
this
me
is
ask
a
you like
different
this.
era though, Mario.
It is a
It's like
different era. It is a
you don't
different era.
even look at John Cena. His physique isn't this. And look at Brock Lesnar. His physique isn't the same. Granted, he's a massive human being, but they're not, completely ripped to the point where their ears have muscles. They just look good. They have a good look about him. And Dominic Mysterio has a good look. He has that charisma, the machismo, the aura around him where he captures a room when he steps in there. It's like you said, to quote the great Dusty Rhodes, he has it, baby, and he can't get rid of it if he tried. It's just
Okay,
there. He's got it.
I think you're winning this right now because I am agreeing with everything you're saying. And again, I'm a Dom fan. I see him in
Mm,
that spot. I'm asking these questions because I don't know the answers to them, right? Because like the world doesn't exist like the way I want it to, right? Like just because I say, oh well, no, it shouldn't matter. It's not gonna, you know what I mean? So it does matter, not to me, but to the world. And so
yeah,
because of that, I ask you, you can book a Dom Rusev match for the IC title, right? In a mid card, at a mid card event, right? And have Dom get over in a funny sort of way that's clever, but
yep.
kind of cheeky. Some of that mid card humor that they interject. But can you seriously imagine doing that same match with a Bronson Reed even for the main event of Mania? Same optics. This pretty thin, not super muscular. He's in good shape for a regular human being, but he's not in good wrestling shape, right? It held back Adam Cole, didn't it? Or didn't it? I don't know, but it
Yeah,
could have.
but Adam Cole's situation is a little different compared to Dominic.
Absolutely.
Dominic
Absolutely.
is
I didn't mean to
filled
compare
out.
the
He just
two.
hides it with his gear. He's not like he doesn't need to be super muscular, but he has wrestling stamina. He can go. That's the difference. Adam Cole could go, but his body couldn't hold up. Dominic's body, you got to remember he's a little taller. He's filled in to the point where he doesn't like most Mexicans doesn't have a ton of muscle definition on him, but he's got it. He's strong. To me, it's just like and I lost my train of thought there, but yeah, like to say the Adam Cole situation. Adam Cole essentially gave himself the Mick Foley treatment to where the point he did too much. He put his body through too much, and eventually his body told him no more. And it told him that in the WWE when they made him a manager. And then it wasn't for no as much as people didn't like the decision from Vince, it was for a reason. Because look at him now. Tony Khan said 2 weeks ago that yes, there's a slim chance that Adam Cole comes back to wrestle ever again. So it's to me, I think Dominic he's more filled in. He's got this wrestling cardio. He's got his wrestling stamina. He's got the ability to carry a match because he's been brought up through the right way to be brought up. He had his dad. He's got everybody affiliated with his dad. He's got Conan. He can now go to Lucha Libre and earn his bones there. He went through the WWE system to earn his there. To me, the world, the sky, the galaxy is the limit for Dominic Mysterio. I think without he doesn't necessarily need that build, and you can do those types of matches with him. You got to remember one of the key words on commentary when Eddie Guerrero won his title from Brock Lesnar on the commentary table was Eddie cheated. right as he hit the frog splash because he hit Brock
Yeah.
Lesnar with the belt. Eddie cheated. The same thing can be done with Dominic Mysterio. And then you look at Rey Mysterio. He's not the most muscular build, but the size and smallness of him helped build that underdog. To me, Dominic
No,
Mysterio would still be looked in the same way because it's still not fully believable like that Dom would beat a Roman Reigns or a Punk or a Cody Rhodes, but you want him to. The crowd wants him to. They would love to see it.
no. I agree. I agree. They do want him to. That underdog sort of moment that you can capture in wrestling. It you can capture it anywhere, right? It happens in MMA. It happens in boxing. It's just very rare.
Yeah.
That's why they have a whole franchise called Rocky based off of it because it's such a fantastical idea, right? And I get that. I was in a few fist fights in my day as a kid, right? And I can tell you the sad thing is, I mean, it's not sad, it's just the truth. At that age without any sort of understanding of technique or anything, the bigger kid just wins. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. And as a short Mexican, I can tell you it's gonna happen. But I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you. I want you to be right. Ultimately, though, I just don't know um if Dom can exist in the same body that he exists now at the top level. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Here's what I'll say, right? And this is my response. And I'm honestly just talking to you at this point. Like, I can't even imagine what this is going to sound like. It's going to sound like I'm a fucking crazy narcissist, but I just don't trust that the WWE will have a good enough creative to keep that working, right? Like, even now, they've had incredible moments with Dom where they've done these like little things that are absolutely genius, right?
Yeah.
To be able to keep that going, right? And then find a way to do it that
Mhm.
works as like a face heel sort of situation if you ever put him in that, right? Because I think Dom can get over massively as a face, not a traditional face. I don't trust them to do that. I don't. And so then what ends up happening is Dom looks completely ridiculous getting over on a Braun Breaker, a Bronson Reed, and then the fandom and the entire optics of it go down with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I know that sounds crazy. It's like, oh, well, I'm the only person that could, fucking be like creative enough to come up with these scenarios where Dom
Yeah.
out cheats 7-foot monsters or 400-pound former
Mhm.
NFL players. Like, but I absolutely believe there is a way. And in that, I agree with you. I think there's a way to do it. That's
But not only
fun.
not only that though, Mario, you gotta see it's kinda like how you were talking about earlier when you turned the clown into a king. Look at how Dominic Mysterio started in the WWE. He wasn't taken
Yes.
very seriously, and then when he broke off with the Judgment Day, he still wasn't taken seriously. But look at him now.
Yo,
And not only
he
that, Mario,
evolved.
he's only 28. He's
And
only
you know what the
28
other
years old.
You're absolutely right. He's only 28. And the thing about him is there's so much lore behind his character already, right? Like, you mentioned Conan, you mentioned AAA, you mentioned all those other things, which brings me to another point I want to ask you. But like, nobody even remembers right now the moment, like his sister and how big his sister and their family was. Like, that was like probably the best stuff going on in WWE at that time. Like, literally, the stuff going on with Ray, Dom, his mom, and his sister, like
Yeah, it
that
was huge.
4 week stretch they had, that was like the best. His sister was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know what she does. I don't even remember her name
They
now,
said
but
she's wrestling now too. She
is she?
started.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad.
think
She
she's
had
in Booker
something there.
T's camp out there in
Yo,
Houston.
we need to go out to Booker T school, champ. We
Yeah,
need to go
dude, we
out there.
definitely yeah. Because after I have
Um,
the surgery in January, bro, we can start hitting the road in the summer.
champ. Oh man, I can't wait. But yeah, so I think that, when you have all that, you have the recipe for some great storytelling. Now one last thing I'm gonna ask you then, because you brought this up. I mean, you didn't bring it up, but you are the one that sparked this. You mentioned all of the good things about him being a smaller guy and being able to keep that stamina and work. But what about the fact that he is pulling double duty right now and he doesn't have the mass and the heft or the muscle mass that, is needed to carry that many bumps throughout a career? It's one thing to take dangerous you know, make dangerous choices in the ring like Adam Cole. It's another thing to just not have the body to take 10,000 clean bumps. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, every wrestler has had their last bump at some point. And whatever that number is for Dom, he's getting there faster, pulling this double duty. So that's another element that you introduce. Any thoughts of it? I mean, you made me think about it. So I'm giving credit to you because you're the one who you didn't, context it that way, but you certainly did bring that up.
I mean, to me, I think they're doing it in a smart way because Dominic isn't doing anything extraordinary. He's using the antics to kind of get around. Like, think about it. He's doing things to get around the big picture of having to do all these stunts, all these spots, even the lucha libre stuff. He's kind of finding simpler
Yeah,
ways to do it, and this is why I said like the way Dominic was brought up was one of the best ways to bring him up that way. That way he can do double duty. And knocking on wood for Dom, he hasn't seen any injuries. Now he worked me on Saturday. I was like, man, he fucked his shoulder, but he did it.
dude, I thought for sure
Yes.
that was not part of the plan. I remember, listen to me, Matt. And shout out to White Mamba. He said the WWE Road to Romania coming to Lubbock.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
go, champ.
Yeah,
That's
they're
what's
bringing the
up.
house shows back around this part of Texas, bro. That's an exciting. That's
That's
why I
what's
said
up,
this year is
dude.
just a scratch, and next year they're gonna really look better. And also, like, especially like how we saw in Unreal, bro. Triple H just needs to go off his instincts and stop asking all these fucking questions to people that don't really have the better idea. Like look at
Word.
he listened to Michael Hayes about Jey Uso, and in hindsight now, but like looking out throughout the old way, everybody hated it.
Yeah,
It's got the most dislikes on all their YouTube videos, everything that he does. So it's like what do you want? So I think
word.
Triple
No,
H
you're
has the
right.
right instincts. He just needs to don't get easily talked out of it or anything he's got going.
Yeah, I just want them to be a little more braver, I think. Like
Yeah,
take more take more bold like like whatever you were going to do on Saturday, like there needed to be more stake in it or there needed to be more revealed, right? Like either we get something concrete. Like I was waiting for one of those faces to turn right then and there. I was
yeah.
waiting. I was like, okay, Roman, just deck both of them. Or Cody, just deck both. Or fuck it, Punk, just deck both of them. Like one of y'all just start fighting each other. Like it just, I don't know. But anyway, Matt, dude, you have absolutely nailed this. This was a terrific show, and I appreciate the guest spot for real, for real. Listen, I actually didn't get to bring up two things, and so I hope you'll come back tomorrow because one of them was did you see Becky and Seth's appearance uh
Oh yeah, on
on
Bert
the
Kreischer
2K?
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bert Kreischer. Thank you. I always forget his name. Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah, I did. And we were talking about that earlier of like who are they talking about? Because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
at the, what was my problem though is I went straight to okay, who was on the roster, not
Yeah.
thinking who's running it backstage. That could
Who's the
be
booker right then? Yeah.
yeah, so it's like it could be anybody. They didn't drop any names because you look at the top of you would have to go back to 2015 when she hit the main roster. That's when somebody because it's not going to be anybody in NXT. You can't really get blacklisted on NXT unless you're just you're not doing that well. So
Exactly.
you look at the top of the list in 2015. You got the Del Rios, you got the Cenas, Taker, Chris Jericho were still around, and it's
Randy
hard to like
Orton.
you can look at Del Rio, but at the same time you're like, Del Rio doesn't seem like he would have. As much as he was a Vince guy, but he didn't seem like he was a Vince guy like that.
He
But then
didn't
you look
seem like
at
he had
Vince. But then you
yeah.
look at Vince, and you're like, he was
You
already
know,
had it. He already had a history of doing that with female talent.
where
Could
yeah.
it be somebody
No.
around Vince that
I get it.
way in
Yeah,
his inner
yeah.
circle? You don't know. They left it
I'm gonna
super
be
vague,
honest.
and it's like,
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be honest. As soon as they said it, I don't look. I like Harry Potter. I don't fancy myself a wizard. All I know is when they said it, I don't know why this image of John Laurinaitis on Raw popped up in my head. Like I didn't Like,
Ooh, you think it was
it
Johnny
just
Ace? He did
popped
it?
up. I
It makes
didn't
sense.
I'm just telling you what popped in my head as I'm watching this for the first time, right? And I'm watching, and I'm just thinking, I haven't even thought to myself, who could it be? I'm looking and listening, like they're mentioning, I was like, oh, is it Cody? And like that was obviously a joke. Um,
I mean, Cody was Stardust, so that's what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no.
It has to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
if it was talent, it has to be somebody that was a Vince guy that had that much pull to do something like that. And then, like I said, you look at the talent, like really, it was only John Cena that had some kind of power to blacklist anybody. So it's like it's hard to see Cena doing it, but it's like
It
it's
makes me
hard.
wonder if that's going on today. Like, could that be even happening today, like right now, after all the scandals, after everything that, because it's like, like after Weinstein, that didn't stop in Hollywood, like at
Yeah,
all.
I
Like,
mean, and
don't
then
even
like
pretend it did.
they picked a perfect time or an imperfect time to do it because like they just barely got through all this shit with Vince and the controversy with Brock coming
Yes,
back. Like I'm
bro.
pretty sure they got a call. Like, are you sure that was the right fucking thing to go talk about today? Like, come on.
I am right there with you. I was like, dude, there's no way anybody like greenlit them talking about that. There's
Yeah.
no way. And then I think like, wait a minute, is there, like, are they about to get ready to just bury Vince or
Well,
something? Like, I don't know, dude.
I mean,
I don't know. All I
they're
know is
owned
this
by the best
sport.
company that can deflect anything. They got vibranium
Absolutely.
hands
Very, very
at
true.
TKO because look at the UFC. They're who? Yeah, I wonder who they were talking about. It's probably what they would say.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad spot for the company. It's a literal like you're re-blacking an eye that just got fixed for them. So it's like,
Ooh, well said. Well said. Very good metaphor. Yeah, listen, man, give out the show. By the way, y'all had a great show. I really am enjoying it. I'm a guy who I take in all sports, even though on infighting, we do combat sports, MMA, boxing, wrestling. Um, I watch, baseball, football, basketball,
yeah.
FIFA, even golf I watch, so it's like a
You
situation
are a brave
where
man for watching golf. People try to get me
it
into golf, and I just can't do it, bro. I like
it
mm,
I can't watch,
I can see
I
the
can't
I
watch
feel like it's one of
Thursday or
those
Friday
I feel like it's
or
one of
even.
those sports that's better in person. I feel like it's one of
Yeah,
those.
actually, I really wanna see it in person. They've been coming to San Antonio and, Austin a lot more, or not
Mm.
Austin, Houston, and so, yeah, I definitely, that does seem cooler in person, but, yeah, so, I'm a person who, like, always want to, talk about and listen to, you know what I mean, and consume that stuff, so y'all show's been great. Give out the, title?
Yeah, so we redone the YouTube channel to kind of encapsulate all of our talking points, all of my talking points. The YouTube
Sure.
channel is Talking About with Matt Garces, where I do talking about wrestling, like I'm live on Twitch now, talking about wrestling, talking about sports. Here in the coming year, I'm gonna add a talking about life or just something like along those lines. And also, I'm gonna reveal this here on this show. I'm gonna have a special segment with my dad who is calling from a prison, and it's gonna be a segment called Press One for Pops, where he tells me all his funny ass stories from his childhood and young
Yo,
adulthood,
that is
which is gonna
what.
be great. Hopefully, my
Oh,
brother will join with me to make that show even funnier. But yeah, we're gonna do talking
bro,
about life, but we're gonna continue to do talking about sports as we do every Monday and Saturday. I'm gonna continue to come on for talking about wrestling Monday mornings and Thursday, Friday afternoons, especially when there's a PLE or a AEW pay-per-view, which seems like there's one every 2 weeks now.
I know.
But yeah, talking about with Matt Garces live on YouTube, Matt_Garces4 on Twitch.com. Shout out to White Mamba, who is my co-host on Talking About Sports when I have talking
Yeah.
about sports segments. So yeah, man, come check out the channel. Our fan base is growing. Our just subscriber base is growing on YouTube. Our subscriber base is growing on TikTok and Twitch. The numbers are slowly growing, and we'll get there eventually, man. But appreciate
Hell
you
yeah,
letting me
champ.
on, Mario, and talking about some
For
wrestling today, man.
sure. Hell yeah, champ. We'll always be friends of the show over here anytime. Link up. Hell yeah. Can't wait to see all of that content because that sounds awesome. But for the rest of everybody, INFX on all platforms. Be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock.